Well, welcome to the FAA SFO Control Tower groundbreaking. Thank you all for being here. And I would like to begin by acknowledging our very special guests who you'll be hearing from in a few minutes. DOT Secretary Ray LaHood, FAA Acting Administrator Michael Huerta, and of course Mayor Ed Lee. And we have a number of other VIPs I want to make sure to introduce. Airport Commissioner Eleanor Johns, San Mateo County Supervisor Dave Pine, FAA Western Regional Administrator Bill Withacombe, Bill, FAA District Manager for the Bay Area Control Towers, Andy Richards, and from the San Mateo Building Trade Council, Bill Knack, Brian Perkins from Jackie Spears, Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office, representing Congresswoman Pelosi's office, Dan Bernal, our Federal Security Director for the TSA, Rick Sackett, and then a couple of folks who've been active in leading this project from the HNTB architectural firm that led the design of the control tower, Matt Needham and Alex Ogata. And then Laverta Allen, who's heading the construction management work, Laverta Allen from the Allen Group. So a round of applause for all of our VIPs. Thank you for being here. Everyone at SFO is very excited with this start of work now proceeding for the control tower project. The planning work and the design work has moved along at a very quick pace. It is a unique partnership, and I underline partnership, between the FAA and the airport. For the first time, to my knowledge, an airport will be leading the building of the tower and will be following the direction of the FAA and their various detailed guidelines for tower construction. We're using a design-build approach that's going to save 6 to 8 months off the normal construction cycle, and we'll be using a very formal partnering model that we found very helpful and very successful for major construction projects at SFO. We're excited that the control tower project will be fully integrated into the terminal complex in both the design and the construction. The tower will fit seamlessly into our recently renovated Terminal 2 and our soon-to-be renovated Terminal 1. The job will, of course, the construction job will, of course, bring hundreds of jobs for construction workers, for engineers, for architects as well. And so we're excited about the job creation aspect as well. And we're very excited that the project will allow us to work side by side with the FAA, our partners, to design, create, build, and operate the most seismically sound and technologically advanced air traffic control tower in the world. And I'd like to now introduce the Secretary of Transportation to give a broader perspective on this project as it relates to aviation infrastructure as a whole. So it's my great pleasure to introduce the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, the Honorable Ray LaHood. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Special thanks to Michael Huerta, who you'll hear from in just a minute, our outstanding Acting FAA Administrator, and to our very, very good friend, someone who we think so much of, your outstanding Mayor, Mayor Lee. Thank you for being here, and it's great to be in San Francisco, which is no stranger. This community is no stranger to the power of thinking big and building big. 75 years ago, our forebears built one of the most iconic symbols of America's vision, engineering, and workmanship, the Golden Gate Bridge, which celebrated 75 years strong. They did this amidst the struggle of the Great Depression in the face of fierce opposition, and it would have been all too easy to simply give up and abandon the project. But they didn't do that. They listened to the naysayers, and they also listened to those who wanted to move forward, and those are people that had big ideas about building a bridge that spans over 4,000 feet. Over 20 billion cars have crossed the bridge since it opened in 1937. The Golden Gate Bridge reminds us that infrastructure investment is the greatest gift we leave to the next generation. And what we're celebrating here on this site is the next generation, and Michael will talk about this, of technology for guiding planes safely in and out of this airport. This will be the next generation tower for the next generation, and that's what we leave. That's what we do. That's what leaders do. They think about the next generation. And so this critical infrastructure will create hundreds of good-paying jobs. And that's the part I really like, particularly for those that are in these construction vests. They and their colleagues will be the ones that will benefit in terms of the jobs that will be provided. So I wanted to be here today to really congratulate all those who have provided the leadership for this. It contributes $1.3 trillion in the total economic activity, accounts for 5.3% of the total U.S. GDP, and supports over 10 million jobs. And that's what these kinds of construction projects really create. The President signed a transportation bill last Friday at the White House. It's a 2-year bill, and it's in large measure thanks to the leadership of people from your congressional delegation. In particular, I want to single out Senator Boxer, because she was the chair of the committee, the Environmental Committee, EPW Committee, that led the way in making sure that our country had a big blueprint, a plan for transportation. Without Senator Boxer's leadership, this never would have happened. That bill would not have been signed. And so we're grateful to Senator Boxer for her leadership in getting us a 2-year bill, a blueprint for the big picture ahead that really, again, allows us to put our friends and neighbors to work in construction jobs. But the celebration today about this announcement is important because it really does take us to the next generation of technology. When this tower is opened, as Michael will tell you, it will have the next generation technology for guiding planes in and out of this airport and guiding people on those planes in the safest possible way. I'm delighted to be here to congratulate the community, those who serve on the board, those who serve in leadership positions, to say thank you for what you're doing for the people of this area, to modernize this great airport so people can fly safely in and out of San Francisco. Thank you for including me today.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Now my great pleasure to introduce the Acting Administrator, Michael Huerta, a longtime friend and a real leader who's delivering on successful partnerships not only with the control tower at SFO, but the runway safety area project, and working on delay reduction as well. Please join me in welcoming Acting Administrator Michael Huerta.
Thank you, John, and it's great to be back in San Francisco. When I left Washington yesterday, it was 105 degrees, and I can't tell you how great it was to land and hear that it was 55 degrees here in San Francisco, so it's great to be back. And I'm so happy to see John and to see my good friend Mayor Ed Lee, and I am so proud that the FAA is joining with this partnership with the airport on the construction of a new air traffic control tower here at SFO. The FAA is contributing $70 million to an effort that will create an estimated 600 jobs, including 400 construction jobs. And while it creates the needed jobs here today at the airport, it's also a down payment on the Bay Area's future. I want to reaffirm what you heard from Secretary LaHood just a minute ago. This new tower is an extremely important economic investment in the infrastructure of this region. Civil aviation supports 10 million jobs all across this country, but over 1 million of those jobs, 1.1 million of those jobs, are right here in California. And $89 billion of freight trade flows through this state, California, by air. It's simple. When aviation succeeds, the economy succeeds, and California succeeds. Now, San Francisco has always been America's gateway to Asia. I think it's interesting that San Francisco, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor Elise, isn't San Francisco the only American city that has a Chinese name?
That's right.
Yeah, Gumsan, you know, or Old Gold Mountain, San Francisco. And so San Francisco has always been a destination and a gateway to Asia. And it's an enormously popular destination for visitors from all around the world. Now, managing air traffic here at this airport is a challenge because of the tight environment. This is actually a very small facility, but they move a lot of traffic through this airport, and they move it very, very well. It has very complex airspace. We have a lot of airports here in the Bay Area, and we have, of course, our very unique weather conditions. That is one of the great joys of living here in the Bay Area. But in partnership with this airport, we've done a great job, amazingly well, in getting flights safely in and out of here and moving them efficiently. Now, this new state-of-the-art tower is going to make sure that we continue to do that. First, the tower is going to be built according to the strictest modern seismic standards, which is important here in the Bay Area. It's going to include several green features like solar panels, recycled building materials, reflective roofing, and others. And it's going to provide air traffic controllers with an unobstructed 360-degree airfield view, along with the most up-to-date safety equipment for managing air traffic control. Now, the new tower is one of many efforts that the FAA is making here in San Francisco. I also want to recognize Bill Withicum, who the Secretary talked about. He's our Western Pacific Regional Administrator, and Bill has actually invested a lot personally in and has done just tremendous work on numerous aviation projects right here in the region and right here at this airport. We're also supporting an effort to enhance runway safety areas here at San Francisco. And as the FAA transitions to the next-gen satellite-based air traffic system, we'll have better solutions for the tough problems here, like weather-related delays and limitations that have occurred because of the short and closely spaced parallel runways that characterize this airport. In fact, as a result of NextGen, we'll have a whole suite of new tools for this region and many other metropolitan areas all across the country. So it's a great day here in San Francisco. This is going to be a great tower when we move into it, and I'm really looking forward to really having a first-class facility here in San Francisco. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now my great pleasure to introduce a great leader for San Francisco and a great supporter of this airport, Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. It's my pleasure to join Secretary LaHood and Acting Administrator Huerta, and of course our own John Martin, our director of the airport, to celebrate today's groundbreaking. You know, our airport, if you know this, if you are a student of air control or air traffic, you should know that the first quarter of this year, we had almost an 11% increase in passenger travel compared to last year's same quarter. In fact, if you compare ourselves to the other 12 top airports around the country, for the last 12 months, we're leading the pack with a 5.6 increase in passenger travel in this airport. It is critical to not only San Francisco, to the Bay Area, to all of our neighbors in and around the Bay Area region. In fact, I'd argue to the whole area of Northern California to have a safe, successful operating airport. Well, like any infrastructure, and today, Secretary LaHood, I just want to let you know that I wore my lucky tie. This is the tie of the Golden Gate Bridge, and we celebrate the 75th.
Yeah, terrific.
And it's one that I will proudly wear every time we have a major announcement about another infrastructure effort that we have. And, you know, certainly, Secretary, with you and Administrator Huerta, you head up agencies that are so critical to the infrastructure of our whole transportation system in the country. And so whenever you come here, I enjoy these announcements because it is yet another reflection of the investment we are making, the investment that our Airport Commission, its staff, its director, all of the partners that we have investing in generations to come of the transportation systems that we need to make sure our economic and our regional recovery continues, but that our economic success for generations continue as well. We've raised the bar with this newly designed air traffic control tower. It's a win-win, win-win, if you could say. It's going to be LEED Gold in its design. It will obviously create the jobs that Administrator Huerta had signaled for the men and women in construction. It will be, in fact, not only technologically advanced, but one of the inside jokes I have with the airport staff, John, we're going to finally get an air traffic control tower where the elevators go all the way to the top. And then finally, it's going to be that iconic design that we have. In fact, I was looking back at, I was one of the Olympic torch runners in San Francisco for the Beijing Olympics. As you recall, we had one of those torches, and I was comparing that, and I wanted to talk to John King before he wrote his article about this to see the similarities of that torch. But it's a beautiful, beautiful design, and I think we'll all be proud of it. But it also accomplishes the very basic function of higher levels of seismic safety and technological advancements. So it's a win-win on all of those fronts. But if I may say too, as a grateful mayor, to all of our federal partners, to Senators Feinstein and Boxer, and certainly Leader Pelosi and all of our federal partners and our Congressman Jackie Speer and others, we're working hard to make sure that we take our investments and make sure that we implement those programs for future generations. This is what, being a mayor, we're grateful to be able to do. And with these federal agencies, and particularly transportation, you know, if you look at the ARA monies that we had for Doyle Drive, if you consider the Department of Transportation's funding for our Transbay Transit Center or Central Subway, and of course, the latest announcements about the high-speed rail commitments that we have, we are doing the kinds of things with our federal agencies that will spell out what our future needs in infrastructure. That's going to make us successful, and it'll make generations of people appreciate not only San Francisco, but all of our Bay Area partners together. We're working hard to make sure the investments are right, and it really is about investing in our future. So I'm very grateful to not only the partners here today in this announcement, but I am excited to get this thing rolling. So let's start digging as soon as we can and get our folks to work, because I know they'll enjoy it, and I look forward to being here in the fall of 2014 when we enter in. And I know there's a little year where there might be the year where the FAA has to make sure everything is safe, but I look forward to that fall when we can take a travel up to the top and make sure that elevator goes all the way. Thank you very much.
John, you want to see if there's some questions?
Oh, sure. Okay. Thank you, Mayor Lee. And I want to also recognize all of the team members on this project, the construction team, project managers, architects, engineers, even the finance staff who've been involved in getting this project together. They're off to a great start. They may work for 15 different organizations, but they're working seamlessly as one team, and that's why this project is ultimately going to be very successful. Before we have the formal groundbreaking, I'd like to open it up for questions from the media, if there's any questions. How is the new tower going to be different from what we have now? Michael, would you like to?
Okay. It's going to be about 50 feet taller, and it will provide a 360-degree view. It'll be a larger cab. It will be outfitted with modern avionics that we will be using for controlling air traffic, and will provide an unobstructed view of the airfield, which is extremely important. As it develops, it will be fitted out with new technology, new safety technology that we're introducing here on the airport, and it will result in a much more efficient system, a much more efficient use here at the airport, as well as being a green facility. Well, for air travelers, the whole reason that we're making new investments in technology is we're planning for the future growth of aviation. And what that means is we need to be able to handle more traffic, more efficiently without delays using advanced navigation procedures that reduce fuel burn, reduce cost, reduce noise. What that translates to for travelers is that you have a much higher likelihood of getting to your destination on time. I'm sorry? You know, you've got one of the things that we're very focused on here in San Francisco is doing everything that we can through technology that will enable us to have the equivalent of a beautiful sunny day weather condition so that we can handle traffic in all weather, and that's what these investments are all about. Yeah.
One of the things interesting about this is that you have technology that can see through any weather, circumstances, all this stuff. Why is it still essential to have eyes on the field in an era when we really don't need to have eyes on the field, or at least it would seem that way?
The importance, aviation operates under a concept of sense and avoid. What you want to ensure is that pilots and other users, everyone who is operating in the airport environment, has good situational awareness of everything that's going on. Because in addition to dealing with traffic on the air, you have to be sensitive to everything that's going on the ground. It's a very complex operating environment, and there's nothing that substitutes for being right there when you're dealing with a complex facility such as San Francisco.